Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well, and here's a quick lesson on how to improve your alternate picking skills. Now, the alternate picking method has two biggest advantages in my personal opinion. One being that it's very efficient, and two, it enables you to play at different speeds, especially faster if that's something you want to develop. Now, the one biggest problem with alternate picking that most people experience, especially a lot of beginners, is that they tend to get stuck between the strings. What I mean by that is, let's say if they are playing a certain passage, they might feel that they are getting stuck between the strings as and when they are switching between the strings, and they might even, let's say, the pick might fall out of their hands, or they might fumble a lot. So to alleviate that and some other problems, I have boiled down this lesson basically into 4 different tips. So the first tip is how to hold the proper pick. Here I want to cover two things. One, the kind of pick you're using, and two, how you're holding it. So the kind of pick you want to have is one that is not too thin and floppy, and also one that is not too thick. Now the reason why I say that is because, let's say if you have a very thin and floppy pick, sure, you might find that it sounds very nice when you're strumming, but let's say if you want to switch to playing a fill, or I mean if you're playing a certain melody, then you'll find that the same floppy pick is just not going to help you. It might even fall out of your hands. So you want to find a pick that is not too thick, not too thin, and has the right kind of thickness. Personally, what works for me is this a Dunlop Jazz 3. You can see how big it is. It's not too big. It's quite small actually, and even the thickness of it's not too thick or thin. But what that does is it's not loose and floppy. So given its dimensions, I find that it helps me switch from a strumming pattern to a picking pattern, and I face no problems. So see which kind of pick works for you, and keep these factors in mind. The other thing that you want to take care of is how to hold your pick. Once you've found the right kind of pick, the way you hold it is between the thumb and the index finger in such a way that the tip of the pick is not showing too much. Why? Because if you hold it in a way that it's like this, you might find that it's easier for you to let go of your pick, and it might just fall out of your hands very easily. So to alleviate that, you hold the pick in such a way that the tip is not showing too much. And the other advantage of this is your wrist, it is free to move in this kind of a pattern. The second tip is slanting your pick. This also goes with how you hold your pick. Once you've made sure that you've found the right kind of pick, you're holding it properly, the next thing you want to make sure is that you're not holding it perpendicular to the strings. Now the reason why is, let's say if you're playing a song where you're switching between the picking pattern and you're also switching between varying speeds, then if you hold the pick perpendicular, then you'll find that the pick wants to jump out of your hands. You might feel like you're missing certain notes, and you might even feel like you might drop the pick out of your hands. So to alleviate that problem, what you want to do is hold your pick in a slightly downward slanted angle. So what this will do is, I mentioned wrist movement before. Now your wrist naturally wants to move in this slightly up and down motion. That's not purely sideways like this. So if you hold your pick in a slightly downward angle, in a slanted angle, you will achieve that natural wrist motion. Now the next tip is downstrokes on even and upstrokes on odd. If you've been using the alternate picking method for a while, you would have probably noticed that you're always switching to the next string using an upstroke. I'll show you that with an example. Now in this passage you will see that for the most part I was switching the string using an upstroke, and that upstroke is very important to prevent you from fumbling or missing some notes. So the rule here is, it's not a hard and fast rule by the way, but this will certainly help you. Let's say if the first string in this passage has even number of notes, try and always start that with a downstroke. Let's say if you're playing this, so here it's not a hammer on, it's not a pull off, I'm actually playing both the notes on that first string. So I'll start that with a downstroke. But let's say if I was hammering on, or rather pulling off and doing that, then I would actually switch it to an upstroke for the first note, because I'm not counting the pulled off note as two notes. So here it will be just one note. And why I do that is, so that I don't miss the first note, or I don't fumble when I'm switching to the next string. So this rule will really help you preventing missing some notes, or having the pick drop out of your hands, as I mentioned a lot of times before. So make sure that you're always using downstrokes on even notes and upstrokes on odd notes. Now the fourth and the final tip is practicing the same passage but with different picking patterns. This is something that I've learned from my biggest influence and my hero, Eric Johnson. In this pattern, what you do is, let's say if you come up with a phrase and you're having some trouble playing it, what you want to do is you want to play it in different patterns. And different patterns, that means starting with either a downstroke and also an upstroke. Let's say if you're playing something like this, and in this example I started it with an upstroke. But what you want to do is, you also want to practice it starting with that downstroke. That was with a downstroke, and now with an upstroke. The reason why you want to alternate these picking patterns is so that you really get the particular passage under your fingers. So let's say while you're in the moment and you're playing, and let's say if you for some reason you want to improvise, you want to embellish and change it up a little bit, you are already familiar playing it in different variations. So for whatever reason in the moment, you decide to naturally, or rather subconsciously, switch the picking pattern, there'll be less chances of you fumbling or making a mistake, since you're already acquainted with that basic structure that you've come up with. Alright, so that's it for this quick lesson, and I hope these 4 tips help you improve your alternate picking skills, and also that they help you with your music in general. Good luck.